G'day guys, how's it going? Today we're here with this, the all-new Kia EV3, Kia's latest electric compact SUV, and welcome to sunny Seoul, South Korea. How cool is this? But I thought I'd show you guys this car because it's a super exciting car. They promise over 600 kilometers of range on the WLTP cycle, and it's the world's first compact electric SUV that offers vehicle-to-load capability. So a lot to get through in today's video. It's gonna be a quick walk around. We're gonna go through the interior features. We're gonna give it a drive on the roads of Seoul, putting everyone's lives in danger, including my own. But that's what I do for you guys. So let's get straight into it. So starting up the front first, you guys might recognize these headlights from the Kia EV9. And in fact, a lot of the design of this car actually took inspiration from the Kia EV9. You could almost call this the baby EV9. And in fact, a lot of people are calling it that. You get the classic tiger nose grille there with the all-new Kia badge. We've seen that for a few years now, so it's not exactly all new. And we have this spec, which is the GT line spec. And as you can see, you get these body-colored inserts here and a pretty cool angled bumper down there. Gives it a nice sporty look, and it's all blacked out here. Whereas on the base spec, you'll see a lot of silver inserts around the car. You also get your front-facing camera there. This thing has some of the most comprehensive adaptive cruise control and highway assist features in the class. So if you guys want to know more detail about that, check out carsauce.com for a full comprehensive written review on this out now. As far as the lighting goes as well, it's completely LED and it's super bright as well. Down here we have this radar sensor as well. Like I said, this thing has a pretty comprehensive suite of safety technology, including some systems they've completely overhauled, but we'll get into that later. All right, coming to the side, check this out guys. On the GT line spec, as standard, you get these really cool 19-inch machine alloyed wheels. So the base model actually comes with 17-inch wheels as standard, but you can option 19-inch wheels. They will have a slightly different alloy design, and the GT spec of this car, which has not been finalized yet, will come with 19-inch wheels as standard as well, with the option for 20-inch alloys. In fact, Kia have also confirmed that they are working on an all-wheel drive option for the EV3 range, and Kia have also spent thousands of hours in the wind tunnels refining the designs of these wheels as well as the front aero to make this car as efficient and streamlined as possible. I believe it has a drag coefficient of something like 0.26. That's very, very good. You'll see your charging port here. We'll get into the battery specs a little bit later. Here you got your blacked out mirror caps with your 360 camera. Very, very good 360 camera, by the way. Here's your pop-out door handles, very cool. And on the back, you actually get some really weird door handles on the side. Not sure how I feel about that. I reckon your kids might have trouble finding that. And down the bottom, another GT line specific feature is this body colored insert down the side with some black cladding along the side. Interesting looking car. Definitely looks like a baby EV9 from the side. You get your floating roof design here and your black roof rails up the top. Now coming to the back, this is actually one of my favorite angles of the Kia EV3. You can see these tail light design, very, very EV9-esque. Again, see the Kia badge there. You got your reversing camera and a pretty cool little spoiler there. I'm sure the GT spec, which is going to come out in the future, will have a cool, sportier version of that. And down the bottom, you can see your GT line specific black bumper, and you can see your GT line badge there, as well as your EV3 badge on that side. But let's check out how much this car can fit inside of itself. Powered tailgate, that's pretty impressive on this segment. And as you can see, it's got boatloads of boot space inside this. I believe Kia quoted 460 liters of capacity, which is actually segment leading. And in fact, Kia say that the EV3 has been heavily benchmarked against the Volvo EX30. And in fact, in every dimension, including boot space, this actually beats that car. So the overall length of the EV3 is 4,300 millimeters, which beats the EX30 by 70 millimeters. The front overhang is 810 millimeters, which beats it by 20 millimeters. The wheelbase is 2680, which beats the EX30 by 30 millimeters. The overall width is 1850, which beats the EX30 by 13 millimeters, and the overall height is 1560. So in every dimension, it is a bigger car, and once you guys step inside the car, that's where you definitely feel the extra space. So let's get into it. Alrighty guys, coming, ooh, did you hear that? Oh, that is a nice thonk. Coming now onto the inside of the Kia EV3. First thing you'll notice is this amazing two-tone GT line steering wheel. The base model actually gets a different steering wheel with a slightly different shape and a different binnacle in the middle, and also the drive mode selector is in a different place on this one. So interesting observations I've made in my first few hours of driving this car. What's interesting is you get your gear selector here, your gear stalk, and you can access drive and reverse, but also you have your button for keyless go there as well. I guess space saving has taken on a new new level. You also have your paddle shifters, which are not used for gears because this is an EV, but they are used for your regenerative braking. You do get your adaptive cruise control buttons here laid out just like you would find on any other Kia product. Another thing you'll notice straight away is they've actually ported the 30-inch screen from the EV9 into the EV3, and because this is such a small car, it just makes it look even bigger. So that 30-inch screen is made up of 3 screens total. You get a 12.5-inch driver's display, a 5-inch climate control screen, which is just permanently displaying your climate controls, and a 12.5-inch infotainment screen. Now, one of the cool things about Korea and having a Korean car is all of the connected services you get here in Seoul. If I had to list them all, I'd be here all day, but basically you can connect your toll account to the inbuilt navigation. It tells you exactly what lane to be in to use your tolls. Unfortunately, you won't get any of that in Australia, but I thought it'd be worth a mention anyway. You do get wireless smartphone mirroring like Apple CarPlay and Android Auto as well. I have to say that this cabin just feels extremely spacious. You do not feel like you're in a compact SUV when you sit inside here. It just has boatloads of storage. In terms of technology, like I said, the screens are unbelievable. They're super responsive, super clear, super color accurate. Your climate controls are also on this 5-inch screen, but you can also use these fan controls and temperature controls down here. And you also have your media controls just below the screen there. So it's a pretty functionally laid out car, very intuitive. And if you've been in pretty much any Kia product for the last few years, you'll easily feel at home in this car. Another thing I like about the cabin, especially in the GT line version, is you get some really nice premium feeling materials around the place. It is a little bit hard and scratchy up here, but it is mostly soft touch materials, and these seats are just absolutely phenomenal in terms of comfort. You get lumbar support, they're electrically adjustable. You get 3-stage heating and cooling, and I forgot to mention before, your steering wheel is 2-stage heated. So I know for a fact you get that in both the base and the GT line spec, the base with the earth trim interior, which also has a couple of extra funky features like orange storage bins and stuff like that, but you know, to each their own. Connectivity is also fantastic. You get 2 USB-C ports, a 12-volt socket wacky that can be opened with a push, and a wireless charger down there that actually charges your phone. It doesn't just make it hot, it actually charges your phone, so that's really cool. And like I mentioned earlier, storage in the cabin is absolutely fantastic. You get a decently sized glove box, which is full of weird Korean snacks, and you have this cool little armrest thing that you can pull out 12 centimeters, and you can just get essentially a work desk in your car. So if you're pulled up to the charger and your car's charging, you can pull out the laptop and get some work done. So that pretty much sums up the front seats. I might have missed a ton of things, but there is a lot to get through and not much time, so let's check out the back seats. Alrighty guys, coming to the back, and one thing I forgot about the front actually is you do get a pretty decent sunroof as well. Now, how is space in the back? I've actually got a decent amount of legroom sitting behind myself, and tow room is a little bit limited, but that's not an issue. It's pretty standard in EVs. And headroom is pretty decent as well. So in terms of space, I think you can comfortably fit 4 adults in this car, potentially 5. As far as the seats, you get the same beautiful, sustainable feeling leather material here. And if you fold down this, you get a couple of cup holders, and it's actually a very nice soft armrest. So no complaints from the back seats here. As far as materials, it's a little bit harder, scratchier plastics, but I do like the fact that you get outboard heated seats and you get some air vents in the back here, which has been omitted in some other competitors. Another cool feature as well is you get your USB-C ports on the inside of the front seats, and you can also control the front seats from buttons here on the side. You also get these interesting map pockets that are kind of hard, and a pretty enormous storage area. In fact, I can fit almost my entire arm in there if I really contort my body. But that's enough for the back seats. Let me tell you about carsauce.com/buy. We have a massive dealership network of thousands across the nation, and they will literally compete. They will fight to the death to get you the best deal on your next car. So if you guys are in the market for any new car, including an EV3, I know they're probably not up on the site yet, but inquire for an EV9 and tell them that you made a mistake. And best of all, it's completely free for you because we charge the dealers a fixed fee. So if you guys are in the market for a new car, go to carsauce.com/buy and we'll help you out with your next car. It's time to drive this thing. Alrighty guys, driving the Kia EV3 in Seoul, Korea. Let's give it some Seoul sauce. Actually, let's not, because we've got a speed bump coming up. And you know what? It actually reminds me of a cool new feature of this Kia EV3. Before we get into all the numbers and the boring stuff, let's talk about some of the cool tech. Well, Kia have actually integrated the autonomous driving systems into their iPedal system, creating iPedal 3.0, which essentially, let me just concentrate while I go around this intersection real quick. I'm not a native left-hand driver. Ooh. it's got a bit of pull. As I mentioned, Kia are essentially using their autonomous driving systems to enhance the efficiency of the i-pedal driving. This will allow the car to regenerate and recuperate energy as it comes up to corners, if the speed limit decreases, if it senses speed bumps coming up, and essentially you don't even have to think about it. The car will just slow down and regenerate energy for you. Now, speaking of regenerating energy, the EV3 comes with 2 different battery sizes. So you can get into it with a 58.3 kilowatt hour battery. This one we're driving has the 81.4 kilowatt hour battery, and it is a nickel manganese cobalt chemistry, which means it has a higher energy density than lithium iron phosphate. There are some downsides, and maybe we'll make a whole video just on the comparison between battery chemistries. However, all you need to know is that you can fit more juice per square meter into this battery. And essentially what that means is you get a pretty massive battery for the class. Now, this being a compact SUV, it actually achieved a 605 kilometer range on the WLTP cycle, which is, as Kia says, segment leading for this class. And the smaller battery will do 436 kilometers to a single tank. And I have to say that based on like our 4 hours of driving this car around Seoul today in a variety of different driving conditions, that actually seems to be pretty accurate to real world conditions. So that's pretty impressive to see. There's also a couple of cool new features in the battery that helps preserve its life for a bit longer, because unfortunately one of the downsides of nickel manganese cobalt is you don't get as many charge and discharge cycles as a lithium iron phosphate. So Kia have actually added liquid cooling to the battery, which allows it to manage the thermals while charging. So it does have maximum 350 kilowatt fast charging. However, there is a 130 kilowatt DC limit, and at that limit you should expect to see charging rates from 10% to 80% in around about 31 minutes, which is definitely a pretty impressive charging rate, especially considering the range. That battery produces power for an electric motor that currently just goes to the front wheels, and in this car makes 150 kilowatts of power. Going back to iPedal 3.0 real quick as well, another cool thing is you can actually have complete single pedal driving now on all the different regenerative modes. So you don't have to be on that maximum regenerative charging mode. You can be on level 1 and still have single pedal driving. In my test today in Seoul, I have found you do need to actually use the brakes a little bit, especially in stop-to-start traffic on that level 1 mode, but on level 2, it actually works completely fine. Now, in terms of ride comfort, I've actually been pretty impressed by the EV3. We have been driving mostly in city, urban conditions and on the highway, and I have to say that on these 19-inch wheels, which come as standard on the GT line, it's actually very comfortable, and you do get minimal road noise. I haven't personally experienced the 17-inch wheels, which come as standard on the base model. However, you can also option 19-inch wheels on the base model, and that should give a very similar driving experience to this in the GT line. I've also played around with a bunch of the different drive modes. So if we put it into sport mode, you actually feel the steering kind of tighten up a little bit. The throttle becomes a bit more responsive, and I'll try to not get speeding tickets in South Korea. That'd be kind of embarrassing. Let's go back to, we got snow mode and we got eco mode. And yeah, you can see the throttle response really just dulls out a bit. It really optimizes for efficiency. And that is exactly the name of the game with this car. So Kia say they've spent tens of thousands of hours with this car in the wind tunnels. So they've perfected the design at the front to try to minimize the drag coefficient. And they've even made the rear axle slightly narrower than the front. So it produces kind of like a boat effect where you get a wake of wind behind the car. And that's supposed to increase efficiency. So what's it like to drive in terms of fun? Well, I can't really tell you from this launch impressions. I haven't really driven it out in the twisties yet, but just based on my very, very initial impressions, the steering response, the throttle response, I do think that this car is going to be quite fun to drive. Even if you do go for that base model, just on the base 17-inch wheels, I still think it's going to be plenty of fun to chuck around. And even though they do claim the 0 to 100 around about 7.5 seconds, what really matters for fun is that kind of 40 to 80 range where you get that instant torque pickup and you can just kind of chuck it around corners and pull out of corners. Guys, we found an opportunity for a saucy corner. Oh God, I've taken the wrong turn. As you guys can tell, my navigational skills need some work in South Korea, but you know what? You can't blame me. I've only arrived last night. I'm but a green tourist. Let's fang it around this corner. Let me switch it to sport mode, see what it can do. Whoa, all of our stuff's going flying. See, this is the thing, guys, about EVs. They are just absolute cheat mode when it comes to cornering, that low center of gravity from the battery, that skateboard configuration. You know what? It's clearly tuned for comfort, like maximum comfort, but who the hell cares? Like, that actually did all right. And in terms of body roll, it's not too bad. All right, guys, so we are on the motorway once again, so I thought I'd just show you real quick how the adaptive cruise control works. So you press the adaptive cruise control button, who would have thought, and then you can change your speed, and this has one of the best highway driving assists I've seen, and it's pretty much directly out of the Kia EV9. So it does have things like lane change assist. It will be able to detect when the speed limit changes and actually actively slow down for you using the regenerative braking. And obviously it is very easy to turn off in the menus if you don't like to use it. So that's been it for me driving the Kia EV3 in Seoul. I can't wait to get my hands on it, like I said, in Melbourne and give it a proper fang around Saucy Corner and a proper review with Matt. But for now, let's get into my final thoughts. Alrighty guys, so final thoughts on the Kia EV3. What are my thoughts after this super duper rushed, quick experience in Seoul with this all new compact electric SUV? It's hard to say. I don't know the price yet. We don't know exactly what specs are going to come to Australia, but I do have to say, in terms of what they were aiming for with this car, I think they've absolutely nailed it. It's practical. It's got plenty of storage space on the interior, so much boot space. It's extremely efficient. We were achieving real world about 6.5 kilometers per kilowatt hour, which if you translate to the 81 kilowatt hour battery, you know, you're going to be getting well over 600 kilometers of real world range. And we saw that across a variety of driving conditions. So I think in terms of ticking those two boxes, plus creating something that looks pretty unique. I mean, there's not really any other car apart from the EV9 that looks like this. They've really kicked it out of the park. So what do you guys reckon about the all new Kia EV3? Are you excited to see it coming to Australia? Are you not excited to see it coming to Australia? Let me know in the comments down below. And as always, if you guys are in the market for a new car, or if you're interested in buying the all new Kia EV3, make sure you head to carsauce.com/buy. And we have a massive dealership network that'll help you buy your next car. As always, ciao for now.